Okay, so we're diving into some pretty interesting stuff today. We've got the Canadian federal election coming up in 2025. And, well, there's this whole thing about artificial intelligence, AI, and how it might actually play a role. And, of course, what we're going to do about it. So basically, in this deep dive, what we're going to do is we're going to unpack the potential risks that AI could bring to the election. I mean, we're talking things like fake content, misleading stuff, foreign interference, that kind of thing. And then we're going to explore the specific things Canada is doing to fight back against these threats.
Yeah, and when you look at the material you've shared, one of the things that just jumps out at you is this idea of synthetic media. Basically, it's AI's ability to just create these super realistic but totally fake images and videos. And I mean, we've already seen examples of this. And the scary part is that it's only going to get better, like way better, to the point where it's going to be really, really hard to tell what's real and what's not.
And the reason this is so important for you listening is because these deepfakes, I mean, that's what they're often called, they can be used to spread lies and misinformation like wildfire. Think about it. With AI generating so much content and it all looking so real, it could become really difficult to separate fact from fiction during a campaign. And that takes us right to the second big risk we're facing: massive disinformation campaigns.
And what makes this even more troubling is how AI can actually personalize these disinformation campaigns. It's not just about, spreading some generic fake news. AI can actually analyze huge amounts of data and then target, specific groups with these tailor-made stories designed to really influence their opinions. And that level of targeting, that's something we haven't really seen before.
And beyond those kind of broader disinformation efforts, your sources also pointed out a much more, well, I guess you could say insidious use of AI, going after specific political figures. We're talking about creating these incredibly realistic, fake pornographic images and videos. And sadly, this kind of attack really does disproportionately affect women and the 2S LGBTQI plus community involved in politics.
Yeah, and that brings up this really critical point about how AI could be used to silence people and discourage them from participating in democracy. And on top of all that, this increased sophistication that AI brings, well, it applies to cyberattacks as well. Political parties and candidates, they're facing a much higher risk now of things like phishing attacks, where AI can create these super convincing messages, malicious messages that are much harder to spot.
And it's not just threats from within our own country. The CST, that's a communications security establishment, has stated pretty clearly that foreign actors, and they're specifically talking about China, Russia, and Iran, are very likely to use AI tools to try and interfere with the Canadian election. So we've got this whole external element adding another layer of complexity to the problem.
So given all these serious risks that you've laid out in the sources, what exactly is Canada doing to protect the integrity of the election?
Well, one key piece of the puzzle is this group called the CSIS Task Force, which stands for Security and Intelligence Threats to Elections. And their job is basically to keep an eye on and assess any potential foreign interference, including anything involving AI.
It's also super important for all of you listening to know that there are resources out there to help you spot disinformation. Learning to really critically evaluate your news sources and being aware of the tricks used to spread fake information. That's a crucial part of protecting our democracy at the individual level, as citizens. And to add to that, the CST is actually working hand in hand with different federal partners to make our cyber defenses stronger and share information about potential threats. It's this proactive approach that aims to stop interference before it can even affect the election. But perhaps the most important development in this area is Bill C-70, the Countering Foreign Interference Act, which actually became law back in June of this year.
So this new law seems pretty crucial to Canada's strategy. Can you break down some of the key ways that Bill C-70 is tackling these AI-driven challenges?
Sure. So first off, it brings Canada's laws into the 21st century, It modernizes acts like the SCRS Act and the Security of Information Act to better reflect the threats we're facing today. And one really important part of that is giving the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, or CSIS, more power. This includes giving them more authority to share intelligence with their partners, not just within the federal government, which can help them spot threats more effectively. And the bill also gives CSIS more flexibility in their investigations and helps them handle huge amounts of data.
So it's basically about giving our intelligence agencies the right tools to do their job in this new environment, right?
Exactly. On top of that, Bill C-70 creates specific new offenses related to foreign interference under the Security of Information Act. So now there are clearer legal consequences for anyone trying to mess with our democratic processes. Another big thing is the creation of a public registry that's overseen by an independent commissioner. This registry is all about transparency. It requires individuals and organizations working on behalf of foreign interests to register so we can see what they're up to.
That sounds like it could be really useful for keeping tabs on potential foreign influence.
That's the goal. And because technology, and AI in particular, is changing so rapidly, Bill C-70 also mandates a review of the CRS Act within 5 years. That way, our laws can keep up with future threats. And finally, the mandate of CSIS has been broadened to specifically include gathering intel on the intentions and capabilities of foreign states and individuals, which is absolutely critical for predicting and stopping AI-driven interference.
Okay, so let's talk about some specific examples of how AI might show up during the election. We've mentioned deepfakes, but how could they actually be used to spread those really damaging false narratives?
Well, imagine this. A super realistic fake video of a candidate saying something really controversial or doing something that looks really bad. And imagine this video drops right before Election Day. It would be super hard for campaigns to debunk it in time, and it could totally sway voters based on something completely made up.
And besides video, AI can create tons of fake images. How could those be used to influence public opinion?
Well, AI algorithms can take all this voter data and create super targeted images designed to exploit people's biases or make them feel really strong emotions. These images could distort a candidate's views or create false impressions about important issues. And it's all tailored to specific groups of voters.
That level of, manipulation, it's pretty scary. Are there any other ways AI could be used to influence voters that we should be on the lookout for?
Oh, definitely. We might see AI being used to create fake endorsements from people who seem really credible. Or it could create this illusion that a certain candidate has tons of online support by using bots and fake social media activity. Plus, AI could be used to create this really sensational content, stuff that's really attention-grabbing, but ultimately just a distraction from the important policy issues.
So it sounds like we could be dealing with a really noisy and misleading information environment. But your sources also seem to suggest that even with all these risks, a fundamental compromise of the election is, at least for now, considered unlikely. Can you tell us more about that?
Right. So the CST's assessment, based on the intel they have right now, is that while AI-powered interference is a real and growing threat, it's not currently seen as likely to completely undermine the integrity of the upcoming election. This is partly because of where AI technology is at right now, and partly because of the steps we're already taking.
So even though we need to be aware of the risks, some experts believe that our democratic processes have some safeguards in place.
That's what they're saying right now, yeah. But it's super important to remember that we need to stay vigilant and keep adapting. This technology is changing all the time, and all of us, the government, the media, and everyday citizens, we all need to be paying attention.
It's clear that the Canadian government is taking this very seriously with Bill C-70, the CITE Task Force, and just a general commitment to protecting our democracy. So for those of you listening, even though AI does create some significant challenges for the election, Canada's hard at work to improve its ability to spot and counter those threats. And, your own awareness and critical thinking skills, they're really the most powerful tools you have to navigate this whole messy information landscape.
And that brings us to a final thought for you to chew on. With AI developing so quickly, what other measures might we need in the long term to make sure our elections are secure and fair while also protecting our right to freely exchange information? It's a tough balance and one we're going to have to keep working on.
And don't forget, if you want more deep dives like this one, make sure to subscribe to the Podcast of Philippe and help us reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube today. We'll keep bringing you the insights you need to navigate our increasingly complex world.
Until next time.
See you then.